So welcome guys to another video. My name is Daniel and this is my new sleeping system. So the pillow is the C2 Summit Aeros Ultralight pillow. This is not the most comfortable, but is very comfortable by its own. Many people recognize this. It doesn't slip here. You can blow it. I have also tried the Chemit, I believe, with the hole in the middle. I didn't like that, and it was a bit heavier, a bit more of a hassle to blow up. So the Aeros Summit blows very quickly. It's very easy to bring with you because it's very light. And that I will keep this in a separate pod. This is the clothing pod that I have here. I'm going to keep this in the shelter pod that I also have in my backpack. The next sleeping bag is the Enlightened Equipment 20 Fahrenheit degrees quilt, top quilt. I still using the underground ground quilts, the -15. I believe it's 0 degrees then in Fahrenheit. It's warmer than this one, but this one has some features that the other one don't have, and it makes me sleep a bit more comfortable when it's hot outside. So this is a 3-season quilt, and the good thing about this is that you have some spots there that you can attach easier than the underground quilt to your mattress. And one cool feature about this is that you can also open the back end to make it as a blanket, or dyne as we call it in Norwegian. So if you open the underground quilt, you have 2 snaps here, and you have 2 on the top as well. You can actually do a blanket out of this. So it's pretty good. I think it's a bit bigger. It's big enough to just pull over your head, because I didn't order this custom. I just ordered it from the store. So it's good that it's big, so you can pull over the quilt over your head. And I think it's, the features are a bit different from the underground quilt. I will use the underground quilt as well, but it's warmer, and I will also give it a little break because I'll be using that quilt almost all of my trip. So now I have 2, and one of the reasons I also wanted 2 is because I don't really need more than 2 quilts. And my wife is going to come with me in the upcoming expedition, so we needed 2 lightweight quilts instead of 2 synthetics. So this quilt is going to be packed down on its own, and this is the Dyneema composite stuffing bag, custom, the wild and survival one, and we're going to put this down in this stuffing bag till I get home and I can open it. One thing I noticed though is that this down feather from this quilt has a little bit of smell to it. The down smells a little bit, especially when it gets if you get some condensation in it, compared to the underground quilt. So they use probably a different kind of down to the both of the quilts that I have. So bear that in mind, because some people are allergic to down, and Enlightened Equipment then might not be the right down sleeping bag to you. And you might work it out with the underground quilt, just mention it. And I'm not allergic to down, so it's good for me to have that. So there we go. Now we pack it down. This is also waterproof, this Dyneema composite. I normally have another one, but this is a bit lighter now than the normal one that I use from Event, that you can compress. And this gets compressed by its own. So because I've been using a lot of Quilt lately, sometime when I take my feet off the shoe that I've been like hiking all day, you're probably gonna smell a little bit perhaps at your foot. So you really want to use a liner. And will be adding a liner for my 2 expeditions. My wife's going to use my winter one, or I'm going to use the winter one. It's the red one, this one, and my wife is probably going to use this one. And it keeps you fresh, and then it's a kind of a layering system that you can then you can only sleep with this if it's too warm enough. For my next expedition, the year after, I'm only gonna bring this liner, and I'm gonna reveal what those 2 expeditions are gonna be very soon. But I'm still testing some gear, and this liner is packs down into the shelter with my pillow, very small in its own stuffing bag. So one of the most comfortable sleeping pads that I have ever slept on is the Amok, the white edition. It's the bigger version of this little one. This one is the Amok Ultralight version. It's gonna feel lighter. It feels like it's gonna pop someday, but it's long and wide, and it's even more isolated. It's down to -6, as well as I think it's 20 degrees, as well as the Quilt. Some people may say, you don't need very experienced people, especially. They might say that you really don't need a sleeping pad, inflatable pad. But I have slept outdoors since at least I was 10 years old or so. And I started it with very small, back in the days, foam pads with the bad inflatable ones that it kind of inflate themselves. And I'll be using that through school, preschool, high school, and in the army as well. And surely you can sleep in those. But the reason you really want a good, comfortable, inflatable pad is because you want to recreate what you have at home to sleep comfortable, especially if you are dealing with bad knees, you have hiked for a long time, or you are dealing with a bad quilt, or you are transferring from being a long way at home, and you want to do an outdoors trip just because you are missing it. If you take a very bad sleeping pad, then I can assure you're gonna have a terrible night when you wake up in the morning in the outdoors. I went with this ultralight version because the normal one that I have in white popped out, and it was a very comfortable pad. This is kind of the same thing. It has straight lines, so you can actually use this sleeping pad in the hammock as well if you want to do that. The other thing I like this compared to the Thermo or some of the Thermo is because when you twist and turn, this sleeping pad doesn't sound. You don't hear the sound. And I also went with this version this time because I know I have a very warm X-bed down sleeping pad for winter time at home, and I kind of don't need a normal version. What I need this time is a ultralight version. So the ultralight version is going to pack very small, and the way to unpack this is, one thing to remember is that this also pad is, when it comes to ultralight, is also easier to blow it out with the pad, the bag that it follows with. And surely is one of the best sleeping pads that I have, and I trust Amok because I have used this sleeping pad and the other one for a long time. When you are going to deflate this sleeping pad, you can do it on top here inside the tent or on top of here. This is a yoga mat, or the Sarek 2mm. Is very small, very light and warm, and very flexible mattress. I was about to just try it out to sleep in this last night because it was a comfortable ground, but as it gets a bit colder, especially up here in the mountains in 800 meters above sea, and it's kind of chilly, you want some more insulation, then you can put this underneath. But this is a fantastic piece of gear that I will be taking with me on mostly all of my trips from now on. Perhaps not the winter trips. But the reason you want a deployable pad like this is because you can stretch after a long day of walking. You can stretch your muscles. That is a bit difficult, and it's more easier to do when you are using a pad like this. You can add a bit more of insulation to your sleeping mat, and it absorbs water very well, and you can do some training exercise in the morning. And when you are ready with that, you can use a stretching ball like the Radiology mini cork ball to just try to, this is an even ground, it's not easy here, but if you are bad knees like I, put the ball between your pants and the muscle and kind of use the ball to try to stretch down, or your back. The way to use it on the back is to just put it, use the shirt that you strike and just try to stretch the muscles as good as possible. Okay, so this is how it looks. This is how light the Thermolite reactor is. Very small, and I put it inside the Hyperlight large Dyneema bag. I have an absorbent there as well because it might get some condensation. So I put my pillow in there too. I put my Amok Fuel Ultralight. This is 605. I know it's not the lightest, but this is what it takes to keep me comfortable and as light as possible, and it can use multi-use on a hammock as well. I almost forgot, I also of course put my sandals that I've been wearing inside the same shelter system. So literally this is what I have in the shelter, and this I put in bottom of my backpack like that. And this is the quilt inside its own pack. I could probably fit it in here too, but I really want to just quickly grab it and deploy it when I come to a shelter so it can fluff itself up. I don't want to compress it more. and this I will keep outside of my backpack strap on the outside. What I keep in here for sleeping will be my down booties. I think it's Gossamer gear, this one's. Some stuffing bag is there someplace. I also have a very lightweight merino wool t-shirt just for camp. I will probably sleep without it, with just the liner. Some wool socks. These are the Ulvang Super. The Ulvang Super, in my opinion, is the best hiking sock that is out there, even better than the Darn Tough that I also have. And I have my hiking pants. This is meant for lightweight. I have my down jacket in here, and I have a couple of wool warmers for my hand that you also warm the fingers. It's mostly for having inside the camp. And also my new beanie from Heim Planet, I believe, is very comfortable wool beanie. So I will keep those inside here, and I will put this probably on top of my shelter system. So I want the warm clothing a bit easier to get compared to the shelter. So this kind of is an organizing thing, so it's easier for me to reach. I know where the clothing is, but just looking at it, or you can actually use your pen to mark it. I think I'm going to do that. I will keep this in the bottom of the backpack, and I will put this on top, creating a system that is going to be mostly like this. And I will keep the camera stuff and the cook stuff here as well. So I think that's it, guys. I'll show you my pieces of gear that is a sleeping system. So I hope you liked this video, and stay tuned for more. Bye.